we can equally ask, as we did a moment ago, is there a plus and minus to each of these? Each of these questions, therefore, require an answer. Looking for answers based upon just that one step, whether or not the soul is capable of making a journey independent of the body while still alive, brings all of these issues up. The way you try to answer them from the experience and filling them out into a rational whole, that is to say, if you can find some way of making, I hesitate before calling making sense of it, but making it into a rational whole, because if you can bring together all of these parts that fit together rationally, then you're giving an account of the soul. And that's the whole study of the soul. Eschatology, right? That's a whole study of the soul. So when you make the rational, you are then involved in philosophy. But that's only true under one assumption. And that assumption is that in that separation, there has to be something like wisdom that's encountered, and it has to have such a positive value that in that separation, that the possibility then of seeing apart from the body justifies the separation and the journey, and therefore it must awaken some kind of intense desire for it, the object of its goal, and if it in fact includes some idea of beauty, then we can say clearly, since all men desire what is beautiful, there necessarily must be a love for beauty. And again, as we said before, if we can say the most beautiful thing is akin to wisdom, then we can say it naturally follows that a rational explanation of the separation of the soul from the body is philosophy if in that separation the soul encounters a marvelous and wondrous beauty, which if it can be called wisdom, that would ignite a love for it, and therefore that justifies the explanation that this whole subject belongs in the field of philosophy. Therefore, these are all the problems. Obviously, you can enter into this anytime you'd like. So then.
I had I guess, a question, or maybe another side of thinking. If the soul can separate from the body, then another, I guess, something that would follow from that is that the body is something, that the body is real.
Yeah.
And then if the body, then I thought, well, if the body is real, then it's indestructible.
The soul would be indestructible?
No, if the soul can separate from the body, then the body is real. And if the body is real, then it's indestructible. And if it's indestructible, if the body is indestructible, the body must be something other than this physical form that we normally associate as being the body. Because these bodies, in our normal states of thinking, are not indestructible.
Now, see whether we're introducing another word, right? The word now we're introducing is, there must be something about the body other than the physical form of the body. Is that what you're suggesting? Because
if the body is real, then it's immortal. And if it's immortal, then it must be something other than what we think of as the body.
As physical.
Yes.
Yes. Then you're using the word body other than as a physical thing. That's right.
And so I guess what part of Finding out what the soul is would be actually looking at what the body is as well.
You remember now you have two things you're talking about. You're talking about the body and the physical shape of things, are you not? Right? You're making a distinction, aren't you?
Well, I think what I'm trying, I guess I'm wanting to know in relationship to the body, what is the relationship of the soul to the body? And then in determining that relationship, I have to have an accurate description of the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the body may be something other than our popular notion of body.
Yeah. And the popular notion of the body, let's call the physicality.
Right.
Yeah. Now, what is interesting, see, what you're talking about now is the relationship between the soul and the body. That's what we have now, right? So here's the soul, right? And here's the physical body. And we want to know what, after all, is the connection between the two? How does it function in the body? Why is it there? Is there something we can learn about that relationship? Right? There's something we can learn about that relationship. Now, the whole development now of philosophy works on a series of analogies. And we like to work up. We like to work up from physical things up. Ancient philosophy always works down. And therefore we always have a speculative jump, sometimes called metaphysics, when we try to understand these things, because our natural desire is to understand things from the everyday world up, but all of the philosophy of the ancients and the Platonic tradition is the other way, down. Let me see if I can explain that in this way. Last time we worked together, we were dealing with the cosmology. Now, in the creation or the whole development of the cosmos, God, or the demiurgos, which is the God that brings into existence the ordered universe, you have therefore this element, which is God then looks at what is in disorder and he brings it into order. And he tries to bring it into order, or he brings it into order, using himself as the model. But it isn't that he just brings into order a disorder. He goes next, he develops the next step to it, and in that order, he says, look here, we are going to create soul, and this is the idea of soul of the universe. We are going to make the soul of the universe. And he does that, remember, out of being, right? The being that is partless and the being that is partible. He mixes the two, and when he mixes the two, he mixes it in a certain series of ratios, and those ratios